Chuck, it's nice to meet you officially.
Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, definitely.
Pleased to meet you.
Matt, what's your dog's name?
AJ. AJ, and she's the caregiving dog. But no, I don't want to be on the street anymore at all. I'm too old. It's too cold. I had to call 911 like 4 or 5 times when I was on the street where I just was freezing. Yeah. And they finally said to me, they can't come out and give me these big, huge warmer pack things that they have in the ambulance just because I'm cold. But
And they left him for dead.
Welcome to the Love Overwhelming podcast, where we believe and we've seen time and time again when people are supported, hope and purpose are developed in their life, and that hope and purpose guide them in their life's journey, their life's adventures, their recovery, and whatever that looks like for them. It continues to guide them forward, and that's what matters. I'm your host, Chuck Hendrickson. I'm the founder of the Love Overwhelming community, and I am the director of Love Overwhelming Intensive Community Services here in Cowlitz County and Wahkiakum County, actually, as well. So, warming shelters. We discussed last time warming shelters. I explained and showed, or at least hopefully I shared the importance of warming shelters. And when people access warming shelters, they're not only accessing the warming shelter, they're accessing the people that are there, the staff, the peers, the ones that have that lived experience. And it's such a big deal that I wanted to bring another example to you. I wanted to share another example, an interview with you. And before that, though, one of the things that I was thinking about, and one of the things is with shelter, I have so many different stories throughout the years from the last 13 years of operating and being around shelter. And one time we were in Kelso, we had our warming shelter. We had, everything was it got really big really fast. Admittedly, we were a little over our heads in the beginning at the Kelso shelter there. We had projected 375 people, I believe, that would come through our shelter that year, though, in the whole year. And I believe that there was over 350 people that came through our doors the first weekend that we opened. We immediately had to make adjustments and did all this stuff. However, there were some community members that weren't happy with us. And I remember this one time we were upstairs in our office, and we were doing work, a program coordinator and myself, and all of a sudden we just hear this raucous, like just loud, and then chanting after that, and what in the world? And so we look out the window, and lo and behold, there's someone out there with a bullhorn. And they are in between the Cowlitz County Administration Building and between the shelter, about a half block down. And I don't know why I was surprised that this was happening, because it was the founder and the leader of the Punisher Squad. His name is Curtis Hart. If you haven't heard about him or seen him, you can see him online and TikTok and Facebook there, and Punisher Squad, you'll see. Anyway, he had a bullhorn, was yelling, just going off, and again he would be saying stuff and yelling, and then they'd be chanting, and I told our program coordinator, don't go down there, because he kept saying he wanted to go talk to him. I just let me talk to him. I'll talk some reason into Curtis Hart. And those of you that know Curtis and know him now, he's a totally different person than he was back then. And anyway, so he goes down there, our program coordinator goes down there and tries to start talking with him, and Curtis just bullhorns him and It just made it worse. Like we told them not to go down there. Anyway, so they came back. We let it go. And to this day, I don't know why I was surprised, why I was shocked, because he had already snuck into the shelter under a different name. He had signed in a different name and came in there. And apparently he had glasses that could record. And you just have to like hit a button up here or something like that. I don't know. Maybe you had a remote. And, well, what I was told and my understanding is that he was in the shelter, signed in a different name, false name, and but he forgot to hit record on his glasses, so he didn't record anything, which is pretty interesting. It was some type of story like that. And normally I'd say, hey, like, who knows? Well, I guess we'll never know, but that's not the case with this situation here. And a couple more episodes moving forward. Really excited to actually have the founder and leader of the Punisher Squad, Curtis Hart. He's going to join me in the podcast, and sure, we'll talk about the bullhorn incident, and I'm sure that he will bring his bullhorn as well. So, well, maybe not. We'll see. Anyway, so speaking of shelter, let's go ahead and get into this, a little bit of this interview here.
Yeah, I'm really good with the buses. I have all the buses now. I'll tell you what route to go where, to get you wherever you got to go. I'm really good at that. Buy a bus pass every month.
Awesome.
That's another thing that's helped me, is buying that bus pass right the first of the month with my check. Then I can go anywhere all month long, pretty much, and make appointments and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really helped me out a lot.
And has that been something that I know that you've been working with us, and we're kind of...
Oh, you guys have been you're the ones that have got me where I am today. And this lady here has really just done it for me. Finding me a place to live and getting me off the streets and stuff like that, and getting me food and stuff in my belly all the time. You've always been there for me. Yeah, so it's different. It's different. It's different. It is.
Well, explain to us why it's different, or what you see as different.
Because I didn't care about all this stuff before. I didn't have food. I would go to meals that were served around town. They do that pretty good here. That's one thing I gotta give Longview for. They give you food, but there's programs and with a program. But if you ain't got a place to keep it, that's the thing. See, I had no place to keep any of the food I got, so I'd just tell them that and get non-perishable, stuff like
very much,
Yeah, not very much food. And that was a big. Now I got a place I can put it in a refrigerator, freezer, and stuff like that. Big difference because I'm inside.
Yeah.
And you shower every day, clean clothes at will. I can wash my own clothes. Things like that are a big deal. You don't realize when you're on the street.
No.
And then when you come into a program like you got me into, it's a good deal for me. It really is.
All right. So you can hear Matt in there as we were talking with him, and I will share a little bit about how we did get connected with him, because we did connect with him in a warming shelter. It was actually an encampment, and then it was warming shelter after that. But let's talk about in Washington State right now. Okay, so again, if you and I'm reading this right here, there are over 25,000 people statewide that are at risk of being outside in the cold right now in Washington State. Emergency shelters have reported a 60% increase. And one of the biggest things is you heard from Matt that I want to address a little bit is that when he was cold, what he was saying was that the ambulance, emergency services, were telling them that they weren't going to come out and give him an emergency blanket anymore every time that he called 911 or someone called for him. Now, you'll hear a little bit more in the interview where he talks about it. However, that's a big deal for us as taxpayers. It's a lot more money that when emergency services have to go and address homelessness because someone's cold. And that's what they're doing. They're addressing homelessness. And they're going there just not able to do anything for him, take him anywhere, but to offer him a blanket that's the emergency type big blanket is what he said. And after several times, they told him that he couldn't do that anymore, and they weren't going to be able to do that. And so you'll hear later about how he goes about that. But let's talk about where we met him at. We, as in Love Overwhelming, we were working at the Alabama Street in homeless encampment. So this was at the time when it was just chaotic. I mean, it was a mess. It was a mess. It was a disaster. People shouldn't have been living there. And we were contracted to help with the people portion of moving from one spot where it was to another spot, so that the city could go in there and clean. And you see it right here. Here you can see what one of our staff, our healthcare for homeless staff there, is doing, getting the carts and help empty them, and then they're going to go back to their rightful owner. We just heard from the police that Safeway had been down to like 25 carts, so thankfully she's able to get those back. But you can see they're making good progress here, cleaning up. You can see all the carts that they have over there. It's a public health
officer, and it's gotten, I would say, 10 times worse.
Yeah.
And even then, back then, he wanted to. So we got to figure out.
Definitely a public health and safety concern. Like we said, we're thankful they're cleaning up, but as you can see. Yeah. And so they cleaned that, and then we helped move our staff, peer support staff, helped move everybody over to one spot. And that's where they were. And then once it got all cleaned up and where we were, or not once it all got cleaned up, but once they moved out, we actually did intake and assessment and got them into the encampment there, and we were hosting it, if you will. And for a while there, it was really good. In fact, we set up for other agencies to come in there and connect with individuals to get them into services. We had different days where people would come in, and it actually was a lot better there. It wasn't as chaotic. It wasn't perfect by any means. However, it was a lot better. And in my opinion, paying the two staff that we had and the security there, and having, I think there were around 60 people there. Actually, I think there were actually more than 60 people there. And at that time, and working with the Longview Police Department and the city, it really did. I remember asking a couple of the officers, like, just, hey, this seems a lot better than when we weren't here, when no one was here, and it was just kind of chaotic. And now that the security is here overnight and all that. And they had agreed. Yeah, they said yes, it was a lot better. And it seems like that. I don't believe that that's a solution at all. I believe, though, that we need spaces like that so that people aren't camping in our businesses and our alleys and everywhere. It's not safe for them, and it's a deterrent to our business and to our downtown. Not that I want to push people to the outskirts. Very opposite. I want to give access to people. And again, Matt had access to this at that encampment. And so Matt connected with Angela and our other staff there. We worked with them. We actually got him into a different housing solution for a while, and he didn't do good in that atmosphere, in that environment. And then Angela really started working with him. And you'll hear about that moving forward here. So this is a little bit more of that interview.
There's our every day. Hot water every day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You don't know how much you miss that. I mean, that was really hard. That was probably the hardest thing, was not being able to stay clean. You know, getting dirty, a week without a shower kind of thing. Ugh.
Well, and then it makes you feel less about yourself, like you don't deserve certain things that are offered to you.
Right, you don't want to go there when you look all hagged out.
I mean, you've kind of always had the oomph to be housed, but I don't think you generally thought it was possible for a long time.
No, I didn't. I really did. I never stayed anywhere more than 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Really. And now I'm at, 6 months now?
Yep.
About 6 months, so that's a good deal for me.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And you've every month you make sure you go pay your rent.
Yeah,
I
first
mean,
thing
even
right
if
off the
we're
top.
not working, you still go
The
on your
structure
own.
that I do now, paying all my bills right at the top of the month, that's nothing I had before. I
Yeah.
would just go blow all my money. You know, I'm just, nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. I had nothing to show for it.
And every month I question you on the first or the
Yeah.
second or the third. Well, now it's the third because that's when
Yeah.
you get paid. And I'm like, did you pay your rent today? And you're like,
Yeah.
yes, I have it. Let's go, you know.
Yep.
And
Yeah, that's stuff that I didn't do before. I didn't do that. I mean, the rent was always later.
well, and I think that's something you should pat yourself on the back for, because you make sure, no matter what you do with your money after you pay your bills, you make sure that, number one, your rent is paid.
Yeah, bills. Things I'll need.
Even if you want that money to go somewhere else, you're like, nope, I
Right.
got to pay my rent.
Right.
And you have done that successfully, and I just think that's a huge thing, because,
It is really for me because I used to not do that.
and I
That's
think
really
you're going to go
bad.
strong with that. Some of the individuals, that get housed, they'll pay their rent a few months, and then they're just like, I want that money. So I'm going to be fine going back out on the street, and you think otherwise.
No, I don't want to be on the street anymore at all. I'm too old. It's too cold. I had to call 911 like 4 or 5 times when I was on the street where I was freezing.
Yeah.
And they finally said to me, they can't come out and give me these big, huge warm-up pack things that they have in the ambulance just because I'm cold. But
Yeah.
I was cold to the point where I couldn't go anywhere. You can spend all day out there with your thumb up, but if you lay down on the side of the road, within 15 minutes, somebody will ask if you need help. Okay?
Yeah.
And then when you say you have chest pains, you're on your way to the hospital. And that's warm, right?
Yeah.
All you gotta do is say chest pains. They'll take you to the hospital.
Well, and that's what you had to resort to sometimes.
Yeah, I did. I had to
even though
because I
it's
had no
not-
chance.
Yeah.
And I can't stay out anymore. It's just too cold. Way too cold. And I've always had a caregiver dog that's always slept with me and tried to keep me warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. And I go, what else do you want to talk about?
So I want to take a second and share the programs that Matt is in. Like we said, or like I was saying, we met him at the homeless encampment at Alabama Street. He accessed a warming shelter as well. During that time, we connected, and he's in 2 of our programs. He's works with a community health worker in care coordination, and then he also works in our supportive housing program, which is a permanent supportive housing program that is a scattered site model where we help people locate, access, and maintain housing solutions and any needed resources, including pathways to different medical, mental, dental, any type of services that they may need and resources, including food and chronic health conditions as well. So as he's in these programs, he's working with a peer, with Angela, you heard, and you'll hear more in the interview moving forward. And one of the biggest things that I hope that you get from this, I hope that you listen to the rest of the interview, number one, because it's very good, and it shares a lot about what the outcomes of what happens when a peer mentors and works with individuals that just have a hard time navigating the system. The system is hard. I got a call from a Kelso City Council member when we were in Kelso, and they said that they had tried 4 or 5 different places trying to get their mother-in-law into some services, and it was a mess. They explained to me what they needed, and it took me one phone call, and I got a hold of the person and was able to connect them. And the reason that I was able to do that is because I know the system, and I've worked in the system for so long that I knew where to go. And it's the same thing with our peers. Our peers have lived experience, and they have gone through those systems. So they know how to break down those barriers. They know how to move through those and help and assist and help people feel good about themselves so that they continue to move forward in their recovery. And you hear too that we want people to move forward. We don't want people to stay right where they are, even though we strive to meet people where they are. We want to meet people right in the midst of who they are and where they are. And sometimes it takes a while for that rapport to turn to trust, which then allows us to go arm in arm and hand in hand to detox that then leads to inpatient and then outpatient and then being housed for 6 months and then 9 months and then clean and sober for over a year and housed for over a year. We have seen it time and time and time again. This is not a one-size-fits-all solution. And we need, number one, more housing, affordable housing. We need more supportive housing. And that is including the peer supports. We need an increase with those peer supports, helping mentor and guide individuals like you're going to hear and continue to hear.
Cleaning up your room.
Right.
That was something that you always voiced to me. I can't do that. I can't do it on my own.
How
many times have you successfully done that?
Yeah, I've been doing it, but
Yeah.
it's still really, really hard for me to do that one. That's the one I am getting caught on.
Well, but
I had sandals last week. This week I've got brand new shoes that I got.
Yeah.
And we got the other day. We got a nice warm coat. I sweated in this coat. That's a big change.
Yeah.
I was freezing. I had sandals on, and feet were bare.
And let's talk about the time when we had an inspection through Housing Authority. How did you feel? Remember, I showed up the day
that
before.
Guy? Yeah, that guy. We were worried about it and got it all printed. He walked in there and I don't know.
Yeah.
Looks good.
He
wanted to know if the outlets worked.
Yeah.
That was more that they were interested in if the outlets worked than if my room was that clean. But
Well,
he liked it because it was clean. He didn't look any farther.
And who did that? Who cleaned your room? You did.
Yeah.
But I scheduled 2 hours out of my day the day before that inspection.
Yeah.
And I got there.
And you looked at it.
And I looked at it and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But then Matt said, you know what? This isn't your job. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit of direction on how to do this, and I'm going to do it. Just come back at 8 o'clock in the morning and check it out.
That's what I wanted.
And it was a whole 100% better than what it was just 12 hours before that.
Yeah, it was.
And he did that.
Yeah.
And how proud of yourself were you?
It gave me a lot of self-worth. I'm telling you, that did make me feel good. It did.
And I think it's really important that you embrace those type of accomplishments and just say, I did that and I can continue to do that.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times you're like, I can't do that. There's no way.
Yeah.
And then you prove yourself wrong.
That's true though. I do think that way with the negative end.
But you're not the only one. I think that way about myself sometimes and about things I have to do. So that doesn't mean anything negative about yourself, but I just think it's really important that you focus on the fact that I did that. I actually accomplished that. And you feel, you can just see it in your eyes when you accomplish things like that. You're like, I freaking did that.
It was, you're right.
That makes me so happy.
It did. When I got through with that inspection, I was just, couldn't believe how so much weight was lifted off me. I was scared. Because I can't lose the Section 8.
I was a little worried as well. But and it's not even that, because I just don't want to. You're an elderly man, no offense. It is what it is. And it's like, I can't imagine you going back to the streets.
I can't. And there's no way I'd make it on the streets right now.
No, it's freezing.
Now, especially with that new drug out there, fentanyl, boy. It makes it so easy just to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And not come out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it does. It really does. So, yeah.
Do you have any goals for 2025?
I want to get my license and get a car I don't know why I want to. Even though it's going to cost me more money, I am going to do it. Yeah, I do want to get a license, and so I can at least have another place to stay. If I did get kicked out of that place for some reason, I'd have some place I could stay, you know?
Yeah.
Where now I have no place again still.
Well, and it's a little bit about self-sufficiency as well. You wouldn't
Right.
have to depend on everybody else for rides and, you know,
Yeah.
oh my
Well,
gosh, you know, we're not available to take you to get a food box, and then you just feel like, well, I'm screwed.
Well, I went
You
there.
know?
No, I went there Saturday myself on the bus.
I'm really proud of
And
you. for
that was hard. That was a hard one because they gave me a lot of food, remember? And I found out a milk crate fits right in that stroller that I got.
Yeah.
And then off I went and I got some food, and that was good.
I'm really proud of you for that, actually, because I think that's something me and you struggle with is sometimes I'm not always available.
Well, yeah, going from 15 people to 45 people has not helped me at all.
Well, I don't
Because-
have 45 people,
well,
but I do
whatever.
have 10 more than I once did.
Right, and that's how can they do that? Please tell me, explain that. You're the boss. How can they do that? Because we need more time than we're getting more or less out of these people, and then you get more people in there. I got less time.
Yeah.
It gets them frustrated sometimes.
Well,
it does.
Matt, this is a great question and a great conversation. A lot of this has to do with funding. We unfortunately, here's the thing that if we don't have the funding, then we're not able to do anything.
Right.
And to be able to have the funding, our peer support staff, like Angela, have to not only carry a certain number of a caseload, which I believe yours is at 25 now.
It was at 15, right?
It was at 15. Now it's
Yeah.
at 25, and within that, but if we're not able to get the outcomes with individuals and do that, then we're not able to continue to move on because there's documentation that has to happen as well.
Right.
Our funding and the way that Angela gets paid and the way that all of our staff do is through outcome-based payments. That means that all the work that she did with you to get you housed, those hours she wouldn't get, the agency wouldn't get paid $1 for if you actually didn't get housed.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was the outcome, and the reason that she was able to get payment in from that is because not only because of her work, but because of your work and doing what you did and moving forward. And so it's kind of a roundabout way. Yes, it's taxpayer dollars through Medicaid that we're serving. However, you paid into taxes over the years,
Right.
and it's that money is actually paying Angela. Is a peer support. You can hear her story online as well. In fact, the next podcast is all about her.
Yeah.
And with that, it pays her and gives her a living wage for her and her family, right? But it's also helping you out as well.
Oh, yeah.
And if we don't help you out, and we don't have those outcomes, guess what? The agency doesn't get paid because that means that they're not doing what they should be doing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's required documentation that has
Right.
to happen for that.
Right.
And that's what takes up a lot of their time. In
Well,
fact,
yeah, and if you had 10 more people, you're going to have more documentation, and it's going to take up more time.
Yeah.
And there's no going to
100%.
be time for me.
Well, in our hope and what I see,
Yeah.
Matt, is we use what's called a progressive engagement treatment model. So what that means is Angela was around you a lot and doing a lot with you in the
Right.
very first, because you needed it, but she's backed off a little bit, right?
Right. She's backed up
Yeah.
a lot. But anyway, the Section 8 housing, the filling out that paperwork, I couldn't do it on my own.
Yeah.
It's just too complicated for me to do. But they did it for me and helped me out with it, and that's why I'm at Section 8 where I'm at.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't get the government paperwork to get these funds that are for us.
Yeah.
It's just too confusing for me to do. Really.
Yeah, and so Matt, what I'm hearing is because I know that we know that Angela is a peer support. You know, she's been through a lot of the same things, a lot of the system, and all of that. And so, obviously, having that support as a peer has now led you to being able to navigate the systems of care and to be able to access housing and the things that you need to maintain your life. Correct?
Right, correct. Now I got 6 more months and then I can go anywhere with my Section 8, and that's what I want.
Yeah.
You know, to where I can pick and choose when I want to get a house somewhere.
And that's
Yeah.
something we struggled with at the beginning.
Oh boy, 'cause I didn't understand that.
Did we go round?
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all. It was
Yeah.
just really complicated for me. And then to go to those meetings, I had to go down there. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't understand it when they talk. They talk in that government confusing government language.
babble, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't figure it out.
Well, and that's why I think that those programs that fund Angela's position for peers is so important, and why they do that is
Right.
there are funders both both on for our supportive housing and for care coordination through choice, that they see value in that. And so can you just express maybe again, just as we were talking about that how important was it for you to have Angela, and how important do you think it
I couldn't have gotten
is?
that paperwork by myself at all. That paper was too confusing for me. They want more than just your name and who you are. They wanted lots of other stuff. There's another good program right there. There's the behavioral health people for the police department. They kept me out of jail 2 different times. When I supposedly picked up a scooter I thought was stolen.
Yeah.
It turned out to be the mayor's son. Oh my God! They had pictured every police car like this of me with the lanyard and the dog taking the scooter, and they wanted to know who I was. And they
But it was
kept
by the trash can.
They,
That's,
they went ahead and returned it and told them not to put me in jail. That I'm doing good.
Yeah.
So that's one program too that I've come a long way. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
a long
You've
way.
come a very long
Yeah.
way.
From where I used to be. Yeah.
An unwanted man who is traveling by sees the lame and doesn't bat an eye. Oh yeah. Say love have your way. Say love have your way. This is a story about a traveling man. Came upon some robbers and he held up his hands. Oh yeah. And they left him for dead. And they left him for dead. And I don't know when, and I don't know why, but a priest walked by and he closed his eye. So yeah, saying God bless you, saying God bless you. Religious man who was clothed in white washed his hands of the lame that night. Oh yeah.